All right. Hello, everybody. My name is Jeff Gibby. Like I just said, thank you for coming. It's good to see you today. If you're watching us on YouTube, make sure to like, subscribe, comment, chat with us. We'll be answering all the questions you have on there. If you're in GoToWebinar, enjoy the show. Make sure to say hi. It is good to see you. Let's go ahead and kick things off today. What I'm going to do is I'm going to recite from memory this legal disclaimer. Today's demonstration is designed to instruct you on using Metastock and the accompanying software plugins. It is not a recommendation to buy or sell, but rather guidelines to interpreting and using specific indicators and features within the software. The information, software, and techniques presented today should only be used by investors who are aware of the risk inherent in trading, and Metastock shall have no liability for any investment decisions based on the use of the software, any trading strategies, or any information provided in connection with the company. So hope you enjoyed that. Our guest today is a good friend of mine. Well, I consider him a good friend of mine, a gentleman by the name of Rahul Mohindar. Rahul has been a Metastock partner for over 26, I think 27 years now, longer than I've actually been an employee. That's how I kind of keep track of it. So we love Rahul. Rahul, just before we kind of introduce him, is a prolific systems designer. The RMO system, which comes in as part of Metastock, is something that actually is the very first trading methodology I ever used to trade my own money with. So he's been creating systems, designing it for a number of years. He does a great job. He's a great educator. He has a group of offices in India. He's done a lot of work on CNN India, CNBC India, and has trained lots and lots and lots of students over the years. So that's what I'm going to say about Rahul. Rahul, how are you doing today?
I'm doing well, Jeff. Thank you for that kind introduction.
For sure. Let's go ahead and get your screen shared. And then I'll make sure we can hear you. You sound good. Let me do this. Okay. Let me do this. It should be asking you right now if you want to share your screen. And I can see it.
All right, that's great.
I'm going to go ahead and turn off my camera and my microphone. And the floor is yours.
Thanks, Jeff. Appreciate that. We'll connect back soon. Friends, good morning, good evening to a lot of you, depending on which part of the world you're in. Well, for me, it's near nighttime, but I think the best part about Metastock is the education they rotate around the program. And, I have to commend the entire team at Metastock for continuously striving to deliver education. And, you can see it in their actions every few days, every few weeks, if not every day sometimes. There's so much of education which they put forward to us. So we've got to be grateful to them, and kudos to them and the entire team for putting this together. Always a delight to speak at any Metastock event. I've had the good fortune of, speaking at several conferences of Metastock in Asia Pacific, including Australia, India, as well as in the US and Canada. So I think one has seen quite a lot of users on Metastock, and we walk them through the RMO. And I think today is again one of those great days where we can get into the inbuilt RMO system and also showcase to you what we have in the RMO ATM 3.0, which is an add-on. So I'd like to take you through an overview first of the inbuilt system of the RMO and how you could use it. And the best part is when you use the RMO system, it's really designed around delivering a combined experience. And when I say combined experience, I mean a lot of traders try and use a multiplicity of indicators. We're trying to use oscillators, we're trying to use averages, we're trying to use trend lines, we're doing all kinds of things, candlesticks. But the whole idea is, instead of you're using so many different indicators and mix and matching or merging, we want an indicator to give us one consolidated viewpoint. We want a study that looks at the short term, medium term, and long term and delivers it to us more efficiently. Because what happens in reality is, one of the biggest issues we have as traders is we often move to different time frames. We're sometimes looking at a daily chart. Sometimes we move to a weekly chart. And there are often those who are intraday traders or day traders. They look at very short time frames, and we sometimes mix these intervals up. There's nothing wrong with any one time frame. But the problem is you may start looking at a daily chart, but when it starts going sour, that's when you try and look at the weekly very often. And I think that's the honesty with which I speak to you with. I speak to you as a trader to a trader, someone who invests his own money on the markets, both in Asia and the US. And you understand, uh, I don't speak to you as someone who's just going to give you a newsletter or just show you something. This is stuff I put my real money on, and in fact, you would probably resonate with me as we go along today. That trader to a trader, investor to investor, things are very different. It's not bookish, it's practical, and that's what I want to get into today as well. So let's dive in with the RMO. Why did I say it's a well-knit system which does a lot of things? So prior to using the RMO, and the RMO was something I developed really for my own trading to start with. I mean, there's a different story of how it came into Metastock, but thanks to Scott, he spotted it and he said, we've got to have it. But really, this was a system I designed for my own trading because conventionally, when you looked at the RSIs and the MACDs and the stochastics and the averages, there was a lot of mix and match, blend and churn that I was doing. And one of the things I realized was the RSI, for example, on this chart, you'd notice this is a chart of Apple, and you'd see that Apple's obviously been a stock which has really done well. Over 2020 and 21, you made new highs, but the RSI fails to make new highs. We call this a negative divergence. When price makes a new high, but the RSI does not. Similarly, 21 to 22, price kept making newer highs, but what happened to the RSI? It's all falling tops on the RSIs, falling tops. So these are called negative divergences. So what happened was the RSI was really an impediment for me on this way up. So for me, I lost this uptrend or lost the conviction in the uptrend because all I was thinking was, oh, there's a divergence, oh, there's a divergence. So I found that, I'd rather have one indicator like the RMO, and this is RMO stands for Rahul Mohindar oscillator. And when you look at the RMO histogram, you see there's a zero line. If I'm above zero, I'm bullish. The very fact that it's been above zero consistently from 2016 on this equity, all it means is focus on where to buy. It's a strong long-term primary trend. So I use the word long-term. I use the word primary because the RMO is all about finding out that long-term uptrend, and we will trade into that direction. So what I felt was I could take out a lot of the noise of divergences, the crisscrosses at the bottom. If you see the MACD, somewhere there's a sell, then there's a buy, then there's a sell again. There was too much of marrying that was going on, and I was not that efficient. So the RMO not only turned out to be a better tool for me personally, it also turned out to be a hands-free tool for me and also was more efficient. So I think you're really upping the game, with time. As a lot of us, don't get me wrong here. I'm not trying to run down any one indicator. Of course, you can use an RSI very well. Of course, you can use a MACD very well. But I think we also have to accept the fact that there was a day when you were very happy driving a manual car. Today, you may be thinking that automatic is the standard. And if I had to push further, many of you think autopilot is the new standard. So it all depends from which vista point you look at it. And I'd like to say that, look, we've really moved up, and thanks to Metastock, we've really elevated in terms of the tools and systems we have. Things like the Expert Advisor or the Explorer, things have just gotten better and better and better. So we, with the RMO, I clearly felt I have personally upped my trading and investing game, and I think that is delivered to you very simply on the chart. So this is an inbuilt template that you would use. And just to go over the rules, if the RMO is above zero, in other words, the histogram is above zero, you are looking for buy arrows. So come to the chart, you see these blue colored arrows. You're really looking at where do I buy, because my long-term trend is up, because the RMO is above zero. So I always get this question, okay, but what about the different shapes of the RMO? And hear this correctly, the curl down and the curl up and the curl down and the curl up. I am not reading the shape. So let's be clear that we are not doing shape readings. We're not seeing the size of the oscillator or how big the mountain is, how wide that histogram is, nothing. We're just looking at above zero. And if it's above zero, it means it's long-term bullish. And therefore, we want to look for an opportunity to buy. So wherever you get the blue arrows, those are my opportunities to enter. So in other words, what am I exactly doing? What I'm doing in this is I am really moving to a situation where I'm looking for an alignment of short term, medium term, and long term, right? So if I look at this bar over here, the bar color over here is blue. Now the blue bar color indicates that the medium term has turned up. The arrow indicates the short term has turned up. So notice over here, obviously the short term trend picks up first, then the medium term trend aligns, and then on this bar, the RMO has gone above zero. And how can I say that? When I look down at the x axis, I can see that change. See the ribbon RMO bearish and bullish. So that is representing that oscillator. So, this is good screen real estate management where I'm not even looking at the oscillator and I can understand that that's a clear turn. So arrow is the short-term trend. The bar color that you see is the medium-term trend. And at the bottom, that ribbon or the oscillator on top, that's the long-term trend, the RMO bullish. So I'm looking for an alignment of three. That's why I call it the three-dimensional buy. It's a buy when I get the blue bars, the buy arrow, and the positive RMO. When all three align, that's when I want to buy. Now let's look at the next uh, vertical line that I've plotted in the middle of the chart here. We've got an arrow here. And again, if I go by the rules, yes, I have a blue bar. Yes, I have an arrow. And yes, the RMO is already in a positive mode. However, needless to mention, this was my first breakout, and this is what I could call a supportive or an add-on signal. So I need you to recognize that this is a first breakout and this is an add-on signal. Which one are you going to be chasing? Obviously, the first one, because if you get in early, you obviously make more money. There's a bigger ride, there's a bigger potential, and the alignment's better. Now, can you take add-on trades? Yes, that's the purpose why we've given you those arrows, but I think you need to temper that down. You need to really focus on the first breakouts. The add-ons are secondary by nature. Similarly, when you're looking at selling or going short on the market, and again, I must stress this is a very important thing to do in the markets. A lot of you are seasoned traders and investors, but I have seen a lot of folks who just want to buy the markets, right? We just want to say, okay, I bought Apple, but we're not participating on the short side. So if you can see a sell signal, if you can see that there's a down arrow, there's a red bar, and the RMOs move from a bullish to a bearish, you can go short on the index, where you can go short, through different routes, be it options, be it CFDs. It depends what instrument you trade, be it futures. You could be going short on the instrument and making money on the downside. So this is very important. Otherwise, you'd be that one-handed boxer. You only want to buy, 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 and you're keeping your sell hand tucked behind you and not participating when the market goes down. So you will be, at best preserving capital or staying out of the market if you just have a buy only kind of strategy. Going short or selling is also an investment. That's something which I keep insisting on. Going long or just owning equity is not a portfolio. There is times where you are short on the market, and that's a good trade as well. Now, in the US, even if you trade, mutual funds, I'm sorry, ETFs, as you call them, you have the QQQ, you have the SQQQ. You can even buy the SQQ, which could indicate that you're really going short. So you can explore various avenues of going short, but all I'm trying to say is open your mind towards, a lot of times traders and investors look at the sell signal and say, okay, I got out of the trade. No, it's not about getting out. For that, we have an exit strategy. This is about going short. A 3D sell is where you have short term, medium term, long term aligned that is going to go down, and that's where you want to go short. So let's use this opportunity. This is my first breakout. Why is this my first breakout? This is the first time I rotated from an RMO bullish zone to a bearish zone. And this is what I call the second breakout because it's the second red arrow. Notice I had a few blue bars, but the RMO never went bullish. So, we're still in that same downtrend. You could say this is a third one, this is a fourth one, this is a fifth one. I could keep marking every arrow as an add-on sell signal. But, let's understand the most meaty or the most potential is always my first signal. And, that's where you're trying to look for where do all three align. All three are not going to align the same day. The arrow usually comes first, then comes the bar color, then comes the arrow. You have to find that integrated cell point. And we've got a scanner and a power screener, as I'd like to call it, which delivers this to you. You get a ready list where I have a three-dimensional buy or sell. And mind you, folks, this is not part of the add-on. This is all inbuilt. This template that you're seeing is an inbuilt RMO template inside of Metastock. The power screener that you see over here, this is part of my add-on, and this does an automatic scan and tells you where you have an RMO 3D cell. So notice, first of all, the background color tells you the condition of the RMO. So if the background is red, it tells you RMO is below zero. If the background is green, RMO is above zero. If it says RMO 3D cell with two arrow stamps, it means it's the first cell. In other words, the bullish zone has just moved down, right? Likewise, if I see RMO 3D buy with two arrows over there, that's the first buy breakout. But notice this RMO 3D buy, why is this just coming without any arrow stamps here? It could be an add-on. So what you're really chasing is where you have the arrows. Those are indicative of first breakouts. You definitely don't want to miss those. You can certainly look at them, the add-ons, but you want to make sure you find these. If you're comfortable using the explorers in our add-on, we've also built in what we call the RMO integrated buy and sell scan, which can find you these opportunities where all three signals align for the very first time, right? So that integration is also available, because I definitely respect that a lot of you have been using that explorer and are comfortable with it. So we've got that for you. But the best part of the power screener is you don't even need to run it. The power screener is an application that we provide you when you buy the RMO ATM, which auto scans for these opportunities. When I say auto scans, it's literally hands free. All you do is put in your stock list and it updates absolutely live. And whether it's a 5 minute, 15 minute, whatever minute chart you want to look at, a daily, a weekly, it can go through any data and just give you a ready list as to where you have these opportunities. You don't need to program anything. You don't need to code anything. You don't need to put any greater than less than signs, nothing. It's very simple. It's designed. So when I say RMO ATM, automated trade modules. That's the name ATM. It's the whole idea of giving you an add-on called ATM is so that it automates your journey and it optimizes that journey in terms of efficiency. So the ATM has a power screener application with auto scans. So this is just scratching the surface of what you could do, and you would be easily able to detect these signals. So you are often looking at where do I buy and where do I sell. So when you get a buy or a sell, I always say when you get a sell below the low, right? Sell below the low of the bar. Likewise, if you get a buy signal, buy above the high of the bar. Sometimes what happens is you get a sell which comes here, where it's the first time it's, if you look down, you see that's the first time it's moved from bullish to bearish. The low is not broken. If the low is not broken, the signal is not confirmed. Similarly, if I'm buying, if I've got a blue bar, a buy add-on I'm buying, I want to buy above the high. Keep those simple rules in mind. That really elevates your efficiency. Now, important pointers to recap, we're going to focus on where we have the first breakout. We're going to trigger with a filter. Trigger with a filter meaning just seeing an arrow doesn't mean buy. We want to see the arrow. We want to see the bar color. We want to see the RMO above zero. Then we will buy above the high. Similarly, if it's a sell or going short, we want to look for the arrow, which is a red colored bar, the RMO negative, and then we will sell below the low. Now, stay disciplined with the rules. Now, this is, of course, easier said than done, but let me tell you as a trader to a trader, here are another 2 cents of advice which can really help you understand. A lot of times we look at past performance and we say, great, if I did this in my last 20 trades, I can see, 13 times, 14 times, I've hit success and I've done well on these trades. But the problem is when we trade, it doesn't happen. Now, why is this the problem? The problem is often we are changing our time frame, we're changing our stock. If I tell you that, okay, trade QQQ and trade a 30-minute chart, trade that for 20 signals in a row with the same rules, the same discipline, the same quantity, it's only then you can tell me that, look, I'm 70% accurate or 63% accurate. If you're going to keep changing the interval, one trade goes wrong, you say, oh, let's not use 30-minute, let's look at an hourly chart now, or let's look at the daily. That's called being indisciplined or switching up. So stay disciplined with not only the rules but also the interval you trade. That's only when you know. Do 10 trades in a row to know you're 7 out of 10. Use Fibonacci as a guide. I mean, I'm not talking about this, but we do have upcoming master classes, which I'm going to talk to you more about the last two pointers. So in case you are signing up for the ATM, I would certainly recommend you be part of those master classes. And I'm going to talk about how you use Fibonacci to further elevate your trades, to further set targets for your trade, how you can use volume as a confirmation. But there are a lot of tools within the ATM which just use volume alone. In fact, last week I did a webinar on how we look at volume within the RMO ATM. So feel free to jump onto YouTube and get a grip of that video on where volume is being used extensively with the RMO ATM. We've got exclusive tools within the ATM suite which just use volume, like the strength weakness index. I'll try and jump into that today as well. So let's look at the explorers, the integrated buy and sell scans. These are all pre-built. I also have a scan called the SuperFilter. Now the SuperFilter is something we delivered to you with the RMO ATM, and this was a natural extension to the RMO. So in theory, what would happen is if I looked at charts or trend line, you see perfect peaks and troughs, right? But in real life, when you say let's draw a trend line, you find the charts a lot more jagged. Now, the reason I keep putting this screen up is because this is reality. That red chart is more the real, that's what happens to us. Sometimes it's difficult to plot a line or draw that perfect trend line. Sometimes you need to smoothen the data out a lot more. For example, if I used a 10-period moving average on a particular symbol and it worked very well, it's not necessary that every single equity that I trade works with a 10-period average. So what we did with the RMO ATM is we said, look, we'll optimize. If there's a particular stock that works better to a certain number, it's going to work to that number. So optimization is the key or threshold of the ATM. So the ATM RMO super filter, this is the template. It's called ATM RMO. That's the name of the template. And this is available to you for those of you who have the ATM. This filters out the inbuilt RMO. So the inbuilt RMO works to a static value. The super filter works to a dynamic value. As I told you, it's basically working to the best possible fit. Or think of it like going to a store and buying a suit that's just a size number versus going to a tailor who says, this is the length of your sleeve. This is he's going to take the measurements of your shoulders, look at the fall, look at the chest size and everything. So it's tailor made. So it's a bit like saying this is going to be obviously more efficient as a trading system because of its optimization. And how I have represented the super filter, and this is important to understand, is it's no more just bar colors as red and blue. Notice the bar colors. There's a light blue, there's a red, there's an orange, there's a dark blue. There are four colors: light blue, dark blue, orange, and red. So if I'm looking at light blue, it means I've petered off from dark blue. Then I've gotten to red. That's a bearish signal. Notice I got a red here, didn't break the low. Got a red here, didn't break the low. Got a red here, but the arrow broke the low. So the red indicates to you that I'm fiercely in a bear mode. Sometimes you'd see the RMO has gone up, but look at the super filter. It's filtered it out. It's filtered the RMO itself. That's why I call it super filter. Here it stayed orange, which means don't buy because I'm still orange, right? So in the main, when you look at, say, this is the NASDAQ 100, and this is a very good representation because you see, almost 2 years of data here, starting from 2020, Q2 2020 to Q2 22, where you see this entire up move. Notice bulk of the bars are light blue or dark blue. The solitary red bars that came sometimes, like here, the low is not even broken. The RMO went. So in the main, you've only been buying. Even if you went wrong for 4 or 5 bars, you jumped back in on the buy side. So in the main, 80% of the times, you always had a correct trade. And mind you, this is the index. This is the sharpest index, one of those sharp indexes, which is a high beta index, if I could put it that way. It's not a slow index because these have all the big boy techies, right? The Teslas, the Apples, the Googles. You've got all that weight into this index, which makes it, quite a stringer. So you've got to understand here, even in 2022, this entire up that you saw, It was captured to perfection. Even here, you had one area where dark blue came, didn't cross the high. Perfect. So, you this shows you, and mind you, this is not data that I've manufactured. This is actual real performance that the super filter delivered, right? And if I just continued on it, let me tell you, even till today, if you look at the chart, we still have this kind of success ratio. Now, what's so visual about this process is the minute you look at a chart, just look at that blue rectangle that I've drawn over here. Right here, you can understand this entire phase is a bullish phase because I don't have, a single red bar. And this entire phase is a bearish phase. And this has smoothened out those areas where the RMO would go bullish, bearish, bullish, bearish. That's really smoothened out with these bar colors. So if you're using the RMO ATM and the super filter, you've elevated from the RMO as well. So I would urge you to use the super filter because that talks to you more, that conditions you in terms of trend quality, trend strength. And that's delivering a much better experience. And look at how visual it is. You understand where it's moving. For example, if I'm dark blue and I see a bunch of light blues coming, get a few arrows there, the lows are broken, you definitely get cautious there. As you go red, you want to go short. So the best part is you feel the chart, you have more efficiency, accuracy, and you're trading in the direction of the primary trend. So let's recap for you. The blue bar, the dark blue bar, gives you an early signal than the RMO itself in this case, right? So in other words, why do I call it super filter? Because it delivers a better signal and smoothens out the RMO itself. So the dark blue bar gives you an early indication. Now you can see when I say it's adaptive or optimized, notice here the RMO went from positive to negative. So here it's still light blue. In other words, I'm not going to go short, right? Here, you see it went negative, positive, negative. Finally, it gives me a sell over here. So over here, this was faster. The dark blue was faster than the RMO system. But here, the red comes later than this. So you see, the best part about the super filter is it has the ability to become fast or to slow down, depending on the volatility of the market. So it's seeing the volatility. If it's seeing noise, it's going to slow down the indicator and get you a more confirmed signal or a more super filtered signal. If it's seeing a breakout, it's going to give you an earlier indication. So don't come to this quick conclusion, which a lot of users tend to make in the beginning, is that the super filter is just a faster version of the RMO. No, it's a more refined, a super filtered version of the RMO. And at times it will give you a faster signal, at times it will give you a later signal, but a better signal. That's what we're trying to achieve is efficiency and not just trying to be fast. So if I had to compare, and I'm forced to compare because a lot of users do ask me, look, what's the difference? Well, you can see it very simply on this chart. You have a scores of red bars here. This is the older one at the bottom, and this is the newer super filter. Here it's all light blue. So you'd never really go short here despite the RMO going negative. I don't get any red bars. So you see how smoothened it is. The whole experience is very much more efficient. So let's recap that I could start a trade at a deep red bar before the RMO even kicks in. The RMO kicks in later. I may want to add further. So the super filter is definitely elevating the space you're in. So again, constant examples where you'd see there's a lot of up and down on the markets. Nowhere have I got dark blue over here. Even if I've got light blue, highs are not crossed, highs are not crossed. RMO is negative. So it saves you this entire space. You totally understand that, after this red bar, it's all south and, we're looking at a downside, right? So, that gives you the understanding that you're in a strong bear phase. And despite, this is not an easy phase. The market goes up, down, up, down. There are 40, 50 bars it spends here. Most systems will crisscross. Most MACDs and stochastics and RSIs and averages will have crossovers and they'll dance around, right? It's volatile. It's gone up and down, up and down, up and down, 8 or 9 swings and see the consistency. Stay short, stay short, stay short. So we've got this scanner, and this is how the PowerScreener looks. When you have a PowerScreener, this is a separate application that's provided. Now, in case you're wondering, how do you access it? So when you install the ATM PowerScreener or the RMO ATM, this is the ATM PowerScreener application. It'll be there on your desktop. If you use Zenith, the real-time feed, it's absolutely plug and play. All you have to type in is the symbols of your choice. So you go into the symbol column and choose the symbols of your choice, and then you can add any number of columns. We've got 35 different indicators to choose from. Again, I'm not telling you to use all 35, but we really have just 6 or 7 core strategies. That's what I want you to focus on. The reason we've given you 35 is because there are people who want, a candlestick scanner or a MACD scanner or a stochastic scanner. I've still added those, but that's not really ATM per se. It's more to help you, those of you who are used to those and you want those, we've got that. So I think this is definitely a more elevated way of scanning. It's a game changer because it actually gives you email alerts, voice alerts, things like, it'll actually tell you buy on BA, buy on WMT. If there's a buy signal, it would really speak that out, a voice alert over and above just an email alert or a pop-up. So we really changed the game on scanning. There've been a lot of people who tried to ape, but I've been the first mover, and I'd safely say that even till today, the way we do the job on scanning, I challenge anyone out there to have something as extraordinary, because we've there's a lot tuned into the scan, right up to finding the first breakout, add-on breakouts, up shifts, down shifts. And again, the RMO is exclusive to Metastock. So folks, you're at a natural advantage. Things like having the SuperFilter scanner or the inbuilt RMO scanner. That's all amazing that you have that inside of Metastock, and it's so well tuned up. And again, if you like the Explorer, we do have an Explorer. If you like the Expert Advisor, we do have the Expert Advisor. So it's a very well knit and complete system. It's backed by manuals, it's backed by a lot of webinars, backed by masterclass trainings, and it's not too difficult to understand. ATM is to help you automate it, automated trend modules. The whole idea is to help you jump on board. So I keep telling users that the minute you use the ATM for a month or two, you will be more than comfortable. And if I may say so, you'd be addicted. I would be blind if I didn't see these studies. So see how simple it is. When you look at this chart, you totally understand which space am I short and which space am I long. So if I look at this entire phase over here on the right side, I'm trading the long side of the market. If I look on the left side, I'm trading the short side of the market. So it's amazing with what simplicity it tells you where the trend is. Finding the trend is no problem. Yes, I said that. Finding or detecting the trend is an automated process. There's no rocket science to tell you that the right side is bullish and the left side is bearish. It automatically marks the color of the bars. And if the bar color is red and the RMO is negative, it is bearish, no matter how much you want to believe in another way. If the bar colors are light blue or dark blue, it is bullish. We're not trying to short. So understanding what the current trend of the market is a fairly simple process. And if trend detection is that easy, what do I want you to do? Our job is not to be an analyst. We are traders, we are investors. We want to make sure we take the right trades. Work on your money management, work on your efficiency of trade, work on where do I buy, what's my stop, how do I exit. Detecting the trend or finding the opportunities is become an automated process. So that's the amazing part about it. That what we really need to focus on is something we're not focusing on. We're still trying to find the tools. And I'm telling you, you've got the tools here. So those of you who trade options, now I don't know how many do, but again, it's whether you trade options or whether you're not, the RMO 2 is something which can also guide you directionally. So it's a good idea. I'm going to just take 5 minutes to get into the RMO 2. This is a study I designed around trading options. And the whole idea is we've plotted two indicators actually. There's an RMO 2 plus and an RMO 2 minus. The RMO 2 plus is the blue colored one, and the RMO 2 minus is the red colored lines. So the plus measures bull strength, as you've guessed, and the red measures the bear areas where the market's getting bearish. So what we need to understand is if the indicators at a positive value, the blue is at a value of 1, you are in a bullish phase. If the red is in a negative value, we're in a bearish phase. But really, let's look at that on a price chart. You have this in a bearish phase. So whenever you see the red line has jumped down, that's a bearish phase. If you see the blue line has popped up, that's a bullish phase. So it helps you understand direction. So if you see the direction is down from here, the direction is up from here and down. Now, let's also understand what's the indicator on top. The indicator on top is what I call the zone detector. The zone detector also gives me a bit of a warning signal that if I'm getting a buy and the zone is dormant, you see dormant is equal to when the zone detector is at a value of 0. And there are times when the zone detector is at a value of 1. We call this active zone and this is dormant zone. So where you see it filled with a fluorescent green, that's a hyperactive. So there are three zones: dormant, active, hyperactive. Dormant is at a value of 0, active is a value of 1, and with the fills, that makes it a hyperactive. All I'm telling you is if you get a buy signal and you're in dormant mode, just wait it out. Let it become hyperactive. So this buy is best avoided simply because it's in a dormant phase. This sell over here, where it went from 0 to -1, is definitely worth taking because it's hyperactive. That's what tells you. So this sell over here, don't take it the exact same day. Maybe wait for it to jump up to active. Maybe in 1 or 2 bars later, somewhere here, that's the space you want to take it. So this RMO uh, 2 indicator also gives you that directional clue. And the zone detector is again an amazing tool. Let me tell you, you can use the zone detector anywhere with any study, no matter what indicator. Suppose you're a great fan of Bollinger, you're a great fan of the RSI, or any particular strategy you trade. If you know you're in dormant mode, just go slow. And the zone detector is using tools like volume, volatility to judge that you're not trading a sideways patch. So if you really want to walk out and iron out, those whipsaws, the zone detector is an amazing tool. So even if you just understood the zone detector of today's discussion, you would definitely elevate whatever you're doing. So the zone detector is there to save you from the dormant sideways patch. So if it's at a value of 0, do not trade no matter what indicator you use, right? So what about the options bit? I told you we looked at for options. Now for the options bit, I'm not looking at the zone detector. I'm looking at the RMO2. For the RMO2, if I pull back, if the negative RMO, which is the red line, is over here and pulls back to 0, we are looking at buy put options. So from negative 0 buy put options, negative to 0 buy put options. Why put options? Notice the trend is already down and you've got a bit of a pullback. So the bars have gone up, 3 or 4 bars have rallied up, and you're buying puts. Obviously, the puts are going to be cheap. Remember, when the market goes up, the calls go up in value, not the puts. So the puts are quite reasonable. So you could be buying puts over there. And the put options, mostly people are not buying puts when the market goes up. People are trying to get into calls. Similarly, if I'm looking at buying calls when the blue line taps down at 0. So what could be my stop? Let's say I bought a call option here. The minute I see the red line spiking to -1, I'll use that bar as low as my stop. Right. So if you're looking at trading options, and we'll elaborate this further in the manuals and our upcoming webinars as well, what I call the master classes, where I show you it's very, very efficient to buy puts when the market goes up. Similarly, whenever you're buying calls, notice the market goes down. That's when you're buying the calls. Right. So RMO2 is one of those tools which you can use for options, and we've got these expert advisor which checks various different strategies. What we call the comprehensive chart checkup is also included with the study. Now I talked a little bit about volume. I want to further express how we use volume with the SWI. So the ATM comes with an indicator called the strength weakness index. So the strength weakness index tells you where the market is looking bullish or bearish just based on volume. It's not using anything else. It's just using volume data. Now let's explain and let's talk a little bit about volume. Volume is equal to the number of transactions or shares traded. However, the way I'd like to look at it is volume is equal to the amount of money which is involved at a certain price. So you need to understand volume is real money. And the moment you can understand that where is the money, that's a big clue. So what we're looking at is if the market's going up with volume, we say that's a confirmation to an uptrend. If the market's going down with volume, that's a confirmation to the downtrend. So try and keep this in mind that whatever we do, we want to make sure volumes is with us. And this whole equation of is the market going up with volume or is the market going down with volume, this is all measured into the strength weakness index. So please look at this chart here. Notice there's a line which dissects this chart. That red line that you see is the SWI line, the strength weakness index. So try and understand that when the market gets red bars, that's an indication that the volume equation has turned negative. So sometimes you see the market is going down, but the SWI line is still protecting it. This is not a breakdown. This is not a breakdown in terms of volume. Probably this fall is very low volumes or tepid volumes, but over here, the balance of volume is shifted. So it's measuring when it went up, how much volume it went up with, when it came down, how much volume, and it's finding that equation. So rather than manually going through volume bars on the x-axis, the best part is that it is doing that whole equation and then putting it out to you very simply. So let's recap. The SWI is dissecting the chart with a line, and you need to look for where I have blue colored bars or the SWI line is crossed. That's a buy signal. Wherever I have red colored bars, that is a sell signal. And you, for example, this is a chart of Tesla, and you can see this was around 186. You got those signals over there, and we all know it toppled well below 160 even after this. This is about 2 or 3 weeks ago, mid-April probably. Um, that whole signal comes in so beautifully where you've got the red bars. So that whole topple down is so well explained. This is just volume alone. Mind you, if you also put in the super filter, you further elevate it. So you can use the SWI and the super filter as a combo. Look at this drop here. You've got the signals right there. And this is just using volume data. No price data, no averages, nothing. It's just looking at the equation of how price is moving with the volume. That's synchronization. So it's very tough to sometimes go into these volume bars and say, okay, let's analyze this up move. What's the volume? And then say, oh, okay, the up move is with declining volumes. It's doing that whole equation. It's only over here where it believes that this up move has, resonated with enough volume to call it a breakout. So this is just a volume take. I'm not saying just trade solo on an SWI, but the beauty is how about having an indicator which does a solo job on volume? Look at how it complements it. Any system is cohesive and comprehensive when you have both analysis based of price data and volume data. Remember, no trend can be a trend starter without money. Money is equal to volume. Volume is equal to money, whichever way you look at it, right? Without volume, without money, breakout is definitely circumspect, right? So for example, this is a chart of Google, and again, I'm trying to show you interval charts. This is a 30-minute chart. I'm showing you a plethora of time scales today, so that no matter what scale you trade, if you trade a 5-minute or a 30-minute or a daily, it works. And no matter what symbol, I mean, I focused today on a lot of US equities, but of course I trade Asian equities in a big way, and we should understand that it works as well in any market, because as I told you, the ATM is all about optimizing and being adaptive. Now, the best part about it is look how easy it is, look how hands-free it is. And again, this is exactly the template that is built in for you. I am not putting in any value for the SWI. There's no indicate, so you don't have to go into any formulas. You don't need to, there's no option for you to even change it. So the best part is it's all auto optimized. So you have really elevated your game when you look at tools like this, where you look at tools which self-optimize. And again, if I could blend in a price-driven study like the SuperFilter with the SWI, just imagine what I'm doing. Now I don't need to even look at too many things. Let's say there's the RMO 2. I'll talk about the TrendDecider in a bit. There's a lot going on within this add-on, but if you can understand the 6 or 7 core strategies, that's what we need to do. So again, we've got expert advisors. It totally writes it out for you. ATM SW has a bearish pulse. The RMO is negative. Zone detector suggests you're in an active zone. So it does that whole intelligent job of finding things out. Now let's look at one more tool, which is the TrendDecider suite. And I'm going to go over this briskly because I think we don't have too much of time. But just to give you as the name suggests, TrendDecider. It's a level above which or below which the trend is decided. Now I have a TrendDecider level on a daily, weekly, 15-day, and monthly. So if I look at a TrendDecider daily, it updates every day. So let's look at this. The TrendDecider daily is this green line. And if the market's trading above the green line, is bullish for the day. Somewhere, if it breaks the green line, it turns bearish. So wherever there's a breach of the green line, it turns bearish, right? So that is just for the day. If I look at the red line, that is for the week. Now, I mean, this is an old chart. This is not something up to date, but now I can see green and red. So this is a 2-hour chart on the E-minis. So you got green, which is the TrendDecider daily, red, which is the TrendDecider weekly. So obviously, if I look at where my mouse is right now in the beginning of this chart, this is a point where you are looking at clearly selling because price is lower than the daily, price is lower than the weekly. And let's add one more rule. The green line itself is lower than the red line, which means the TrendDecider daily is lower than the weekly. And all this that I just explained to you, that price is lower than both the levels, the green line is lower than red line, jump down to the x-axis. That's beautifully calculated for you. It's bearish. So wherever you see from green, I've gone into bearish. That's the start of a new trend. Similarly, I've seen this green. Why? Because the market has gone above both the levels and I've got bullish. So it can handle all this noise, all this chop, right? Imagine these are sharp chops, but it says the green is above the red. Maintain that whole position of staying strong. So this is momentum driven. This is price based analysis where it updates every day and every week. So it's amazing. It's just amazing the way it works. I mean, I speak to you, with the heart of a trader, someone who puts his own money on the line. And I can tell you, if you start using the TrendDecider, there are people who are just so addicted to it, they would just want to use this tool. So you can use this as a trailing model. You can use this as a breakout model. There are a lot of traders who have a lot of strategies, which I discuss, where let's say the market comes down somewhere between the green and the red line. Those are sweet spots to buy, right? Sweet spot, wherever you get, a bounce green line to red line and then a bounce up. Those are beautiful points to buy, right? So if the green line is above the red line, the TrendDecider daily is above the weekly, that's an indication of strength. And notice how it manages that volatility so well. So the TrendDecider, this whole analysis is, again, we've got the expert advisor which reads it for you and clearly tells you the TrendDecider is bullish or bearish, and it labels it for you on the chart as well. Needless to mention, you can combine the SuperFilter and the TrendDecider. You can have both indicators on. So now look at the raw power. You got a red bar on the SuperFilter, which is a full-blooded sell. And you also can see the green line is lower than the red line. So look at that. Look at that capability. You've blended them so well. So, the best part is I don't need to look at a daily chart, a weekly chart, a 75-minute chart, an hourly chart. I don't need to go into various frames. On one frame that you trade, it's automatically calculating from the daily, from the weekly, and pasting it for you. So look at what I'm doing. I'm telling you, focus on the stock, focus on your strategy, focus on the same time frame 10 times in a row. Get that success, get that consistency. Become hands free, become a thinker. When you don't use your hands, you don't do too much of drawing, don't change any values. The only thing which I need you to use is your power of observation and your mind. That's what I want. So to recap, any system that you trade with today or any set of tools you trade with, and this is again really the philosophy of the RMO ATM add-on, is to give you or deliver to you indicators which are trend based, momentum based, and volume based. Any system is hollow if it has any of these pillars missing. Like I see a lot of people use just using breakout driven indicators. They've forgotten the volume piece. They've forgotten the trade management piece, the momentum. I call it trade management also, because the trend decider, every step up, right? That whole journey, when it breaks the green and the red, it helps you exit as well. It helps you understand the momentum, the pulse, where the market's changing trend. So if you don't have studies which have a price derivation, a momentum derivation, and a volume derivation. And mind you, we've got exclusive tools. Today, I just talked about the SWI. Mind you, the SWI is not the only tool. We also have another strategy called the counter trend indicator, which is purely volume based, right? So again, I'm just trying to explain to you just three very strong pillars, or if I could put three of my favorite pillars that I always use with the ATM are these, where I'm looking at the super filter for my trend, for the momentum and the trade management. I'm looking at the TrendDecider suite. And for the volume, I'm looking at the SWI, which is measuring that whole equation of volume. That's a complete system, right? Don't fall in love with just one. Someone says, oh, I love the stochastic, and the stochastic may be a great indicator, but there are times it cannot work. But if I have these three pillars with me, right, I can definitely look at using a more holistic system. Whichever gives me a signal, I can act. Now, the best part about the ATM is also the fact that we give you the power screener. You can actually scan live for as many indicators you want. So identification is no problem. It's a hands-free job. It's automatic, requires no programming. It doesn't even require you to run an Explorer. So gone are the times where you say, oh, I forgot to run the Explorer, or when that signal came, I was traveling. Well, you get an email alert. As long as your program's open and running, it's doing the scanning for you, right? Weighting those trades. When I say weight, how do you weight them? With the power screener, you have 3 or 4 columns which you can add. You can add 20 columns if you want. Suppose you say, I want to look at the super filter, I want to look at the trend decider, and I want to look at the SWI. Whichever signals have all three in agreement, that's a stronger one. And you can sort also. You can, hit the auto sort button in the power screener and then get the best signals. For trade management, you have tools like, the trend decider, which gets you in terms of gets you, an updated level every day. So if you're worked up that, oh, is bearish for the day, let's exit for today. You can do that. So trade management is something also I talk about very extensively in the masterclass, how to exit, how to manage the trade, because that's when we'll pull. So that's what your screen looks like, a power screener. So here I've got a super filter column. Here's the standard RMO. Here's the SWI, which I talked about. So the SWI, if I see blue columns, means the volume equation is bullish. If I see a red column, it means that the SWI line is above the price or is bearish. The trend decider also, that's the trend decider, it's automatically interpreting. So we talk to you, when you look at the screen, this is so much better information. It's better to sit in a screen in front of your screen like this, rather than sitting in front of a trading terminal or an online platform where you're just flicking orders around, right? Become more efficient. This talks to you, this tells you direction, it helps you get a pulse. So trade to a plan where you can identify, wait, and manage these trades. And to recap, the whole goal, as you've seen, is to use tools which are effective because they're adaptive, because they work to a tailor-made basis for that stock. It's not like we're using a fixed value on any of these indicators. All of this is backed by solid, rules. Nowhere, you can clearly understand. I'm giving you clean cut, rules to have a strategy, because it becomes a rule-based approach rather than guesswork, rather than trying to blend, mix, marry. Don't need all of that. And again, when you use the ATM, we've got breakout strategies, we've got counter trend strategies, we've got volume strategies, we've got exit strategies, we've got money management strategies. It's all there. And all of this is, of course, backed by, we've got a manual up for you. We've got a couple of videos we've done. And of course, the masterclass that's coming up later this month. That's again a great opportunity if you're starting up, or even if you're an existing user. Make sure you get on to the masterclasses that are coming up, and I'm sure you'd benefit from it. The masterclass is something we do which takes you really in depth. And those are 3 sessions we go over for existing users, where we talk about in-depth strategies which I trade, which I recommend, which give you some ideas on how to use this well, and literally spell out all those rules which I think we can all implement. So hopefully with today's discussion, you understand that it's very actionable and implementable straight out of the bat. You don't have to use everything. Even if you just understood trend decide, or you just understood the SWI, one piece is good enough to change the way you trade, even if you just understood the zone detector. So, friends, with the suite, you get 7 templates with all our core strategies, all of them coupled with expert advisors, commentary, explorers, And of course, we've got various PowerScreener fields, be it candlesticks, MACD, stochastics, the works. I'm not talking about all of those, but they're all there in case you still want to have those tools available to you. So the PowerScreener becomes like your go-to screen. You can actually put in your trades, see how much is your mark-to-mark profit and loss. The whole idea is I'm trying to get people out of sitting in front of trading screens where you're seeing, tick, 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 how much money am I making, losing. I don't want that to happen. I want you to look at how the trend is shifting. Like look at the zone detector. It tells you which stocks are dormant, which are active, which are hyperactive. Don't look at the dormant ones, right? Look at where you have a new signal, be it on the RMO, be it on the RMO2. So that we really elevate. And I think that's where I'd like to say that you have a wonderful opportunity to use technology to your advantage. Analysis and trend detection is so automated, effective, and easy. It's all about now focusing on the trader and investor in you. So folks, I hope I've been able to deliver and add some value to what you're doing. And probably those of you already on the ATM, hope you trade a little better. And for those of you who are not, I encourage you to use the ATM, try it out, because it's an amazing tool out there. And again, it won't make a difference to me. One person bought it or 10 people bought it, because with God's grace, one is thrilled with the way one is doing. But at the same time, I'd say that, look, knowledge is there to be shared. Such an amazing tool exists. And very few of us are using such tools to become disciplined, because this is a tool which helps you become more disciplined and helps take out the noise of analysis. The last thing I want you to do is rely on a newsletter or rely on 10 friends or a group chat to detect what to do. It's all about being individual and being a solo rider. So I'll turn it back to Jeff and Kelly, and we'll open it up for questions as well, if any, and take it over. Thank you again for your time. Thank you for being here. The very fact that you came shows that you're one step ahead and want to change the way you trade.
Thanks, Rahul. That was really, really good. There was a couple comments that I wanted to read out to you and one question. So Will wanted to say that the SuperFilter sounds super good. The question that he had is it possible to look at the SuperFilter on the 1 minute chart? Are you set up so you can show charts, or should we pull it for him and send it to him by email?
I could, but I'd have to start up my real-time Metastock as well, but that would take a lot of time.
Okay.
Yes, to answer you very quickly, definitely, most definitely. In fact, we do a lot of sessions live. So including in the master classes, I am going to show you some live charts as well, where we can even look at a 1 minute or a 3 minute. And I've done this I recall in a few events as well. I've showcased these charts. So to answer you straight off, absolutely yes.
And we would be happy to pull you any chart that you want. We'll just come into us and talk to us at the sales chat, metastock.com/sales chat, and we'll be happy to pull any chart you're interested in looking at, whether it's you, Will, or anybody else. We always love to pull charts for people. Rahul, that's it. That's all the questions that we've got. Great job today. I want to say thank you for coming in, and I'm going to take over, talk a little bit about the upcoming classes that you alluded to and kind of the specials that we're doing. Rahul, before I let you go, I do want to say thank you for all of your support over the years, and another great session this morning. Thank you. Appreciate it.
Thank you again. Thanks, Jeff. Thank you, everyone, for being here.
Cool. Let me go ahead and make me the presenter real quick. And we'll go ahead and do this, and then you should be able to see my screen. And me again. So again, ATM 3 is an add-on that Rahul and his team has done such a great job creating. He talked a little bit about the PowerScreener app, but I love how it'll actually track things in real time for you. He's got the systems in there, the breakout catcher, the counter trend indicator, the SWI, the TrendDecider suite, and the SuperFilter. And if you go on our website right now, you can order those for $129 per month. Annually, you can order that for $13.95. We are going to do a bit of a discount, and it's really cool because it's actually a permanent discount on the ATM. So if you do ATM 3 you're going to get the whole package, everything we just talked about. But instead of $129 a month, you'll pay $99 per month, and that's an ongoing price. You get that discount as long as you continuously subscribe to the ATM. So there is also an annual offer that's 1069. That's an extra 10% off. And if you do the annual, you'll actually get a one-on-one training directly from Veritech. So the other thing that I really like is it doesn't seem, we should do it every year, but every couple of years or every few years, we sit down with Rahul, we do some custom training sessions, and we're going to go ahead and do that. We're kicking off our first training session in just 17 days from now, May 20th. So on May 20th, we're going to do a session, which is a paid session from Rahul, where he's going to talk about ATM core breakout models. Also on that day, right after, he's going to do a second session, which is using volume integrations to get a well-rounded rule-based model. Okay. On the 27th, so the following Saturday at 10 a.m., we're going to do our third and final session that's called Trade Detection and Integration and Management. Okay. So these are three basic training classes. I call them basic training classes. I shouldn't have said that. They're advanced training classes that are really kind of designed to get you up and running on that. And normally for just the classes, the cost on it would be $886. What we're going to do as part of the webinar is if you do, basically, if you pay $497 for the classes, we're going to give you 3 months of ATM with it. So you get 3 months of ATM, which is a value of $300 even on the discounted rate. And then in addition to that, you're going to get those 3 sit-down classes that we're going to start. Again, the dates on that is May 20th and May 27th. So we'll do the first 2 sessions on May 20th, the third session on May 27th. So you'll still get that continued locked-in discount for $99 per month instead of the $129. You have those classes are going to be live, so you can come in, you can ask questions. We're going to record them for you, and we're going to make them available in the member section of the metastock.com website. So again, it's a great value. Just for the classes alone, it'd be $886. We're going to break that down to $497 for you. As part of that price, we're going to give you 3 months of the ATM. That's a $300 value right there. And you can do that by giving us a call, 800-882-3040. You can also chat online by going to metastock.com/saleschat. So I hope you come with us and join us for the classes. They're going to be very, very good. You're going to get that for $497. You're going to get that permanent discount. Let's see you there. I hope to kind of see you as we're kind of introducing Rahul and reading those legal disclaimers for all those classes. So in any case, 800-882-3040 to get that, metastock.com/saleschat. I want to say thank you again to Rahul for not only just being here and doing the classes with us in a couple of weeks, but for all of the work he's done with Metastock over the decades that we've been working together. I want to say thank you for coming. I hope you enjoyed the class. I hope you learned something. And I hope we see you at the next one. So in any case, if you're watching on YouTube, hit like, hit subscribe. It does help a great deal. We do appreciate it. Stay healthy. Stay well. We'll see you at the next one.
Hi, Kelly Clement here from Metastock. I hope you enjoyed today's video, and I hope you found it instructive and informative. If you did, what I'd like to invite you to do is go ahead and like and subscribe. Like the video, subscribe to the channel. It helps us a great deal, and it helps us bring you more awesome content like today's video. So go ahead and like and subscribe, and keep on watching.